Welcome back to the Absolutely Epic Early Week Podcast, Week 13 here. Deans, 7904 is back. That's me. Thanks to Will for filling in last week. I'm sure he filled in admirably. Usual suspects are coming along with me. It's BobbyFi. Bobby, first of all, Bobby, how did Will do? I wasn't Wally Pitts. I heard on the Twitter machine that he did a very good job. So, awesome job. Thanks, Will. I'm sorry that I'm back to some people that are hoping Will be back. I apologize.
No, we love you, Dean. Don't bring the self-negativity right off the bat like that. Like, come on. We love you, Dean. Will was great. We love Will, and he was terrific. You can't ask for a better fill-in. I'm sure it's going to happen for all of us at different points. He's a great guy. Did a great job. We were onto some good things really early in the week, and things were good. We missed you. We were happy to have you back, and we're ready for another week.
I'm happy to be back. You know, Will, he probably we had this awkward thing I went on vacation, right? Went on vacation for a week, hanging out with my brother. My brother was in Charleston, South Carolina, Daniel Island, South Carolina, and Will lives in the general vicinity of, like, very close to. And I contacted him. I'm like, hey, Will, let's hang out sometime because I'm going to be there for a whole week. And I had this thing to do on one night, this thing to do on another night, whatever. Like, I think I kind of blew him off a couple nights, and, like, I kind of left it at that. We never saw each other. I think this is my fault. I'm not sure. Will, if you're listening, I apologize. I'm a horrible person. So
it definitely sounds like it's your fault.
It's absolutely your fault. I cannot blame anything on Will because he's like the nicest guy in the world.
He's a very nice guy, yeah.
From a first look perspective, like on a first look podcast, that seems at first look.
Well, I mean, I think at one point he was trying to stick me with his kids to babysit, but I'm pretty sure he was joking. But
I mean, no one would leave you alone with kids, so yeah, that was definitely.
He loves his kids.
I had my nephews to keep me busy, man. Dude, that is a lot. I don't know if you guys have kids or like you ever play you ever like even just babysit or whatever. But Grant, that's exhausting.
Oh gosh, oh man, yeah. I'm staying at my buddy's place for the next month, and he has a kid, and they just have. The kid straight up just ran up and down the hallway for 20 minutes earlier.
Who does that?
Stopped. Like, would run up and down, scream at me, then run up and down, and he never once stopped to take a breather. I walked down the hallway once, and I have to sit on the stairs to catch my breath.
What is the age where that becomes weird? Like, I don't know is he like 6 or 7 or 8 right now? What is that all of a sudden?
He's
like
2 right now.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I was doing that weird stuff until I got fat, which was probably 13.
Hey, it's good calisthenics. Maybe we should start doing it again. The both of us.
Just run up and down. Although we look like ridiculous people doing that. Like, what the heck is Dean doing just running up and down? I can see you doing that at RG headquarters. Where's Dean at? He's running up and down the hallway. Oh, what for? We honestly don't know, and we're too scared to ask.
I got to get my reps in, man. All right, we're going to talk this slate in just a second. Obviously, we generally backload the nonsense. We're going to backload the nonsense once again on this podcast. But out of curiosity, Bobby, how much was there? A lot of nonsense? Was it less? Was it more? As far as I don't know how much Will is when it comes to nonsense.
It was much less nonsense, but there was like even the nonsense. There was some sense, so like there was always a sense of sense, which was weird.
Is that your 2 cents?
That's my 2 cents.
Oh my gosh! Well, downgrade the nonsense because I'm back. I'll upgrade it depending on your perspective, I suppose. But we try to backload it. We'll talk to. Of course, this is the early week look. We look at it Monday night, right after the Monday Night Football game. So we're basically, not a ton of research going down. This is the first look, our first thoughts, and we talk DraftKings specifically. No teams on bye, so we have big slates. Obviously, still we're talking the main slate only. So there's 3 games we're going to throw out. There's 16 games in total. We're throwing out New Orleans. We're throwing out Dallas. They're playing Thursday night. We're throwing out the LA Chargers against Pittsburgh because they play Sunday night. Unfortunately, we can't. We would just say play Eckler, right? I don't know what this price is to be honest, but I'd imagine it's probably
$4,700.
Oh boy, yeah, that's not enough.
Don't play the Thursday through Monday slate. Eckler is.
Oh shoot!
So if you want a free cash game piece, play the Thursday through Monday slate and play Eckler.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. I haven't thought about that. Just playing Thursday through Monday, but yeah, for sure.
Who's the
That makes
backup?
sense.
Who play the other guy too?
I don't. Yeah.
They're always gonna use their second string. No, that's the way they run things.
I think is it still Oliver?
Like on a showdown slate. Yeah, probably. Or I don't know if it's Oliver. I don't know. It's like
I'm not sure.
Whoever it is, anyway, on the showdown slate, play that guy.
I think it's Marion Butts. I think that's who it is. If I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure.
That's a funny.
Butts all day. All day.
It looks like Justin Jackson was the guy that got.
We also are not talking the Monday night game, Washington and Philadelphia, which is a good thing because then you don't have to keep playing. The Philly quarterback has just been a disaster the last few weeks, of course, and people have been rolling him out there. All right, main slate, boys. Bobby, give me your overview because again, it's a little bit overwhelming on a first look because it's 13 games. We got the Rams back in an absolute smash spot against Detroit in the Dome, which is on the turf. How much fun is that going to be? The Chiefs against Oakland, 15-point favorites on the road. Like, when do we ever see that? Road favorites of 15 points in the NFL? Don't see that very often. And then, of course, as always, you got to talk about Tampa. They're playing against Carolina. I mean, I think those are it's Tampa, Carolina, at least Tampa quarterback. And then, as far as your premium pieces, Bobby, tell me I'm wrong. Where else are we looking, or is that kind of where you're honing it on?
Well, yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm going to say is that the Rams side of the Detroit game is a trap. Like, that's my first instinct. My first instinct is do not play the Rams. The secondary receiver, whoever that may be, depending on who's healthy this week, whoever we want to call that, Josh Reynolds, that's who I would like a third whatever receiver. That's who I would look at. Other than that, I'm really not going to mess around with the Rams. The Lions play slow. And
wait. Are we including Gurley?
They do a pretty good job against the run. They actually have done a pretty good job against the run outside of 2 weeks this season. I forget the actual rushing numbers is because they've been behind a lot.
I mean, they still haven't been great. They got Snacks Harrison in, and that's helped quite a bit. But they're still not great.
They've been better. I'm just saying, when on this kind of slate, on a giant slate like this, I don't want to play against a team that can ball control and get 6 first downs on a possession that can grind out 8-minute drives. I don't want that. And that this is the kind, not 8 minute, maybe long, but 6 to 7 minute drives for Detroit. I just don't really want to mess with it. There's other games that are just offer a lot more.
Okay, now that's an interesting take. Grant, what is your thoughts as far as the Rams in general? By the way, the Rams coming off an amazing game against the Chiefs where the total of points was 105 or something goofy, something silly like that. And the only Ram who did basically nothing, well, at least especially for his name brand, is Todd Gurley. Grant, jump in here as far as your thoughts as far as the Rams side.
I mean, I'm completely with Bobby when it comes to the receiving game. I don't want to use Cooks that much. I don't want to use Woods that much. I don't want to use Josh Reynolds that much. I mean, we've seen multiple times this year where they just end up pounding the ball on the ground the entire time. We saw that KC game, and it turns out that Todd Gurley was essentially a decoy in it because of an ankle injury. But yes, Detroit has been better against the run lately, and they can have sustained drives. But they're now without Marvin Jones for the rest of the season for sure. A lot of those sustained drives have been a result of Kerryon Johnson, them switching to the run more. Although LeGarrette Blount did do a decent amount, but that's because they couldn't actually do too much against the Chicago defense. I'm all aboard the Gurley train, as I am every single week. Man, how things have changed. And if you believe in Derek Carty's regression that he takes credit for,
he's taking those victory laps on you. He's taking the last couple of weeks on the Twitter machine.
Yeah, 3. Oh, yeah. Look at what he's done the last 3 weeks, including one game against KC in the highest scoring game. Regression's coming. Yeah, he was injured, and he still averaged 25 points the 2 weeks before. If you're calling that regression, you're a vain person.
Was he injured, though? I was looking at the snaps, and I thought the same thing watching the game, but he only missed 12 snaps in the game.
Yeah, so he only missed 12 snaps. He was out there as a decoy. I mean, Malcolm Brown, that's still more than he normally does. He was injured, and they were doing whatever they want in the passing game. It's not going to be like that probably again this entire season. Gurley will be heavily involved, and I really want Gurley in here, and I'm not worried. I mean, we've seen it against teams like Seattle, who has long, sustained drives, Carolina, who has long, sustained drives. Can still put up a decent amount of points. I'm all aboard Gurley.
It depends on the ownership for me. Honestly, with Gurley specifically, if I find out for any reason that he's less than 20% owned, of course, jump all over it. But if he's going to be one of those 35, 40% owned weeks, there's plenty of reasons to get off of it.
All right, Bobby, lock him into cash. We agree on that?
Of course.
All right, then they're on the same page then. Yeah, you can fade a high ownership.
By the way, the other side in that game, as far as Detroit, the receivers, talk about Jones being done for the season. He was put on IR. Galladay, legit number one receiver, 6.7K. And, I don't want to play Bruce Ellington, but, if they're not going to raise his price and he plays basically every single spot. Well, I don't want to, but, he's the guy – he helps me play Todd Gurley or the likes of Todd Gurley, basically.
Play him.
So, is Aqib Talib coming back this week?
It's like the perfect combination of everything.
I think he's still dinged. I'm not certain, but
I think they were bringing him back after the bye week. But I mean,
the truth is, T.J. Jones is probably going to win someone all the money, because this is a team that gives up big plays, and they can give them up to anyone. T.J. Jones is more of a big play receiver than Ellington is, but Ellington is going to get more just opportunity, which could give him a chance at a big play. I don't know. So I would side with Ellington, in terms of logic, but T.J. Jones, I just have a feeling.
I'll take Andy Jones over T.J. Jones.
You call T.J. Jones a big play player. I call him a no-play player. T.J. Jones,
really, So let me rephrase what you would imagine the potential of. It's sort of like the way people thought of Kendrick Bourne or Pettis. Hey, Pettis is an example.
Those are going to be fun names to dissect, too.
Hey, these are guys who can play. This is how you win tournaments, man. It's finding these guys. And you talk about situations where they're going to have to line up with 3 wide receiver sets. And all of a sudden, T.J. Jones and Bruce Ellington become a lot more interesting than they would normally. As does, of course, obviously, Theo Riddick.
Yeah, look, I like my running backs that run the ball. Call me old-fashioned. I want catches, too. But,
yeah, so you haven't played James White, buddy? That's worked out well.
Say it again?
So you haven't played James White this season, I'm assuming.
Not a ton. I picked my spots with him, and look, and I have Chubb. I didn't play a ton of Chubb last week because I'm like, he's not going to catch the ball.
Yes, he will. He does catch the ball. He can catch the ball. They just happen to have a. They happen to have a pass catching back. He's very capable of catching the ball. He actually has more workload for the 2 downs that he plays every set than most do, passing the ball wise.
I'm still trying to block out last week. I'm just tilted because I did some things I never do, and I always spend up my whole schedule was thrown off. I was on vacation. I'm not looking for excuses, but yeah, I played Edwards and I played Adams a ton, and I spent up for Beckham, and that didn't work out. And in the old vacuum, we were talking about this before the show. In the vacuum, Edwards and Adams are both great. They hit the quote unquote value, but when they hit their value, and then CMC and Barkley go absolutely insane, what that value means nothing now because there's an opportunity cost to that position that CMC and Barkley just absolutely smashed. And I did not have much of those guys, and I was fully tilted, and I'm getting flashbacks. We're moving on to week 13. It's a forward-thinking podcast for sure.
Side note, what do you think the odds are of DJ Augustine scoring 60 fantasy points in a game tonight?
We're not talking basketball. This is the football podcast.
Well, Dean got off on a whole little tangent. I figured I'm allowed
to was related to football.
It was the same sport.
It just was annoying.
That's like saying, oh, well, Dean just punched someone. Well, that was his brother. You just punched a complete stranger.
But what if the stranger I punched was his brother?
Well, if he was being a dick, then you're probably fine. If my brother was being a dick, I'd give you permission to punch him.
You know who's underrated in rugby? New Zealand. They're due.
By the way, that's not true. I think they're rated exactly where they should be.
I think they're really good. Yeah, I don't know much about rugby, to be honest. But I think that
rugby is closer to football, Bobby. See, that's a tangent.
Yes. All right, so we talked about Gurley, McCaffrey, CMC. It's not a chase, right, Bobby? It's not a chase. The play is still right. He had the double bonus of DK last week. By the way, I don't know how often that happens. Not too often, as far as go over 100 when it comes to receiving yards, when it comes to rushing yards. Do you know how many plays he took off last week, Bobby?
Guess 0.
I don't. I would guess
0. He's on the field for every play. Workhorse.
Yeah, it was a near must-win, and now they're facing an actual must-win.
And so, I think the defense they're facing, the Bucs, are they good or I think they're bad? I know defenses don't matter. Let's pretend for a second they do.
No, they do matter. These people are idiots.
I mean, the San Fran couldn't even.
I just want to say, like, the rest of these guys are just complete idiots. Like, I understand the overall concept, and from like an overarching point of view, like maybe that makes sense. But like overall, that's wrong, and no one actually acts as if that's true. Like they just say that thing all the time because it sounds like it's a cool thing to say. It's completely ridiculous. Defenses do matter because Tampa Bay's is so bad. How can you tell me it doesn't matter? They go on about how defenses don't matter, and then they go on about how it's a great play against Tampa Bay because their defense is so terrible. Like, what are you talking about? Sorry.
Grant?
Defenses matter, and you're ridiculous to think otherwise.
Okay, well, with that in mind, CMC
Tampa Bay
versus
has
Tampa?
a ridiculously bad defense, and you're ridiculous. I mean, if Alex Smith can put up 13 points with a hobbled offense against them, then they must be bad. But I mean, Eli Manning just put up 38 points against them. They are terrible. They are horrible. They are so bad, and they're obviously not great against receiving running backs, which plays out perfectly. I mean, we saw what McCaffrey did earlier on this season going up against Atlanta, which is the biggest corresponding defense to Tampa Bay so far this year, at least early on they were. They've gotten a little bit better since. But, yeah, Tampa Bay's defense is bad. CMC is just a little bit overpriced, I think, is the problem when you're looking at things. You have Barkley there at 7,900. You have Kareem Hunt at 7,800. Like, that's $1,000 savings for both of those guys. One, Hunt's going up against Oakland, which we're talking about bad defenses.
Yeah.
Very bad defense. Barkley's going up up against a good defense, but he's still Saquon Barkley. So I have a problem playing with Kareem or McCaffrey this week just because of what's around him, but he's by no means a bad play, and he should smash. Just I think people are going to be all over him because of the 50-point game.
Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of my thought process is like people are going to be chasing it, but like it's not a chase if the play is still really, really good, and the play is really, really good. But like you said, Bobby, Kareem Hunt's $100 cheaper. No, I'm sorry, $1,000 cheaper than McCaffrey. Kansas City, it's just this is like choose your own adventure. That they get to choose however they want to score against Oakland. I think they are a monster favor on the road in Oakland. 15-point favor in a game that has a 56 total. I don't have my calculator in front of me, Grant. I'm not the former accountant. I can't figure out what the team total was on that off the dome, but it's high. So, Bobby, how much?
KC?
Say it again.
Did you say for KC?
Yeah, it's a 56
35.25.
Yeah, that seems okay. So that's like what? 5 touchdowns? No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a lot of field goals. Probably a combination of.
I mean, it's only 11 field goals and safety.
Is Cairo Santos still there? I don't know. I don't know the kickers anymore. Lock in Santos. Bobby, what are we doing here with Hunt?
With who?
With Kareem.
Kareem Hunt.
After all that, that's what my answer was. Yeah, that was like a whole, like overarching. Like, I mean, how am I going to answer a question about one running back when I can name
McCaffrey compared to Barkley or Hunt, like for the $1,000?
No, because you can only roster 3. And
darn it, stay up.
Barkley. The answer is Barkley than Hunt.
Barkley's a better player than Hunt.
Barkley's a better player than Hunt is. So it just.
By the way, not to cut you off, you went this whole rant about defenses actually mattering. And then Barkley's got a tough defense to face.
Yeah, but these aren't comparable players. Like Russell Westbrook against the former Jazz, not the current Jazz, but like the Jazz
Who's Russell Westbrook in the NFL?
Stop bringing up NBA.
Wait, I'm giving a comp. Saquon Barkley is the equivalent of Russell Westbrook and Kareem Hunt.
Why would you use something like
Russell Westbrook and Eric Bledsoe? That's like a comp. That's a comp that a lot of people we actually do this podcast for can probably relate to.
All right, better comp is Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy being a terrible quarterback.
Fair enough.
Ryan Fitzpatrick being incredible.
Colt McCoy being
it's like Agassi versus McEnroe. That's what I was thinking in my head.
This is ridiculous. Anyway, Barkley's a legit top 2 running back, top 3 in the NFL, but probably really top 2. But there's situational stuff. He's probably top 2.
Oh, he's super talented for sure. And like, it's
I don't know how we're going to compare him to Kareem Hunt. I know Kareem Hunt has a better matchup, but I just think I'm just going to take the better player at that price. I like Hunt too. That's fine.
It's a better matchup, a better offense, a better game script. Like
it's all lineup builds though. Like Gurley's the safest, and with probably the most upside. Like, the funniest part is people don't think he might be safe because he might have one down week. Trust me, he's the safest with the most upside. After that, you get into Barkley, and then you get into, in terms of upside, McCaffrey, then Hunt. And then you have a bunch of guys who are like way lower down that are probably better plays if you factor in pricing. I mean, we're going to have things open up, so of course you can probably afford these guys by the end of the week. But right now, I mean, I like these. I love these running backs, and if that doesn't open up, there's guys you can move down to in the 5K range. There's guys you can move down to in the 7K range, the 6K. There's guys at every level that I think are interesting.
Well, you're talking about game script, but Barkley's game script proof for what it's worth. But like, you just don't want to get blown out. Like, so we're like, he's just, off the field.
Even if they're hardly going to get blown out at home. Like, come on, man. Even if they get blown out at home, he's still going to get a ton of work in that blowout at home.
He should. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, he's involved in the pass game, catching game. He's involved in the run game. They'll still run it with him when they're down because Eli Manning is terrible.
Like, the only way he doesn't get 20 is if he gets hurt. That's probably the only way.
We have spent so much time on Barkley.
Well, let's talk about other running backs. Well, you're talking about spending down. Aaron Jones smash spot against Arizona, right? Like, he's priced up to 6.7K. I don't know if we've seen him this expensive the entire season. I don't believe we have. But the spot against Arizona, I know the Packers kind of just – they essentially been eliminated from the playoffs, more or less. Maybe they can run the table, but I don't know. Granted, talk to me about the mid-tier. I think Aaron Jones is pretty interesting. I still don't know if I can get there. You can only roster 3 of these dudes, and it might be a jam them in kind of week for me. Get like 2 of the studs and just kind of figure it out from there.
I mean, it's interesting. So, wish we had Fournette, but obviously that ain't happening. There's Nick Chubb, who's a great play. The problem is he has a tough matchup versus a pretty good Houston run defense, I would say. Aaron Jones has a matchup against an underrated Arizona defense that I think they can keep the game moderately close. I might be the only person on earth who thinks that, but the game script does play out that they should be up big, and Aaron Jones is getting a heavy complement of carries later on in the game. You have Dalvin Cook, who's back in the offense, could be fine. We have an interesting New England running back game now with Burkhead coming back in, with Michelle being healthy.
Leave it alone. Don't touch it.
Yeah, I think it's a mess.
Yeah, I think it's a stay away too. But I think my favorite in this range is Breida, 5,800.
I called it.
Yeah, you should have called it because you're a smart guy and you know this. Breida's very good. He's the main guy in that offense on this divisional game. So although there is – what is the spread? The spread's currently at 10. It'll stay closer than that, especially if what just happened?
Oh, nothing. I just moved my headset.
Classic Bobby. But Breida should be heavily involved no matter what. He's a very good, very talented running back. I mean, he just put up 20 points last week and he didn't get a touchdown. Like, that's how good he is. The offense should have Goodwin back.
Can I point out with Breida my issue? I was looking into this as far as the snap count last week, and 64 total snaps for San Francisco. Juszczyk had 38 snaps. Breida had 31, and a person named Jeff Wilson Jr. at 25.
Yeah,
that's because of the game flow. That's entirely because of the way that they were getting smoked, and it completely changed the entire game script. Early on in the game, I bet you if you looked at those, they were almost always him getting 2 out of 3 every time early. He's a great
6 of the 7 carries, I believe, were in the fourth quarter. Not Breida, the James Jones. Whatever.
Yeah, it's completely a weird, fluky stat. Don't let these things.
Playing basketball for the Heat.
Whatever.
No, it's not playing basketball. You mean like the Lakers? Is that what you meant?
No.
I think you got a title with LeBron, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't he banging those threes with LeBron?
I think James Jones was a wide receiver for the Packers.
Oh, I think there's 2 James Jones.
James Jones was a wide receiver for the Packers. James Johnson is the neck tat. And James Jones did play with the and Celtics.
And the famous Cat Jackson was –
I don't want to talk about him as a Laker person. That was my reference. Maybe too far next level. But, all right, let's keep moving on. There's other good running backs.
It's a popular name. I think there's more than one James Jones.
There's so many good running backs. I want to play 74 running backs.
Who are you going with at the bottom?
You can play 5 or something. I want to play like 19. There's so many.
Here's the conversation at the bottom. It's asking about the bottom. you got to look at that Indy-Jacksonville game. By the way, it is worth noting, we're recording this on a Monday night. Fournette is currently suspended, but he's appealing his suspension. I saw a thing where they might find out by Wednesday, but under the assumption that Fournette is suspended.
Yeah, he's not winning that battle.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Yeah, it's probably not happening. And I'm sure his agent told him, probably for money reasons. Well, I guess he loses salary for the game. You just have to automatically appeal it, but it's probably not going to happen. Then all of a sudden, Yeldon and Hyde. Are they interesting, Bobby? And if you're going to pick one of those two, assuming Fournette's out, who are we on?
Neither. There's too many good running backs. We don't need to get into this nonsense. Until we hear something about one of them taking over, I could understand making an argument for either one. But can I finish
Dean,
Sorry. I haven't got to talk about running backs at all. I want to talk about running backs.
You spent 20 minutes on Saquon.
You know the whole thing about Kareem Hunt.
And you spent 15 minutes on NBA. We are kidding.
On the other running backs, which is why it doesn't matter.
Talk about running backs.
Go ahead.
Gus Edwards, Lamar Miller, Theo Riddick, Philip Lindsay, by the way, one of the most obvious plays of the day. Breda, obviously.
Bengals are terrible.
There's there's so many good guys in so many good spots that you don't need to pay for running backs. You don't need to. It depends on what happens with wide receiver. But honestly, we could pay up for some great running backs, but there's guys you can pay down for that. Kenyon Drake is another one too, by the way, this was a guy who I played in all my afternoon. I never play afternoon slates, but I was okay, I'll just load up on him because I think I made a mistake by not putting him more in more of my lineups. And he actually has huge potential at this price. So Lamar Miller, same thing. I know these aren't the funnest names.
Isn't Gore getting the ball more than Drake still?
Who?
Isn't Gore getting more run than Drake these days? Still?
Drake gets all the passing game which is what matters to me, and he's the bigger play back, obviously. Even I don't care exactly how much he gets. At 4,600, I'm willing to take shots on guys with 2-3 touchdown upside. Who can break that many plays? But fine, if you don't like him, Lamar Miller is the same price. Lamar Miller is getting the full workload against the Cleveland team that's been getting just gashed lately. I told you about Theo Riddick and just how much they're going to have to throw it against the Rams. Gus Edwards against Atlanta. Come on, guys, let's get on board with this Gus Edwards train.
Everyone does.
Even LaShawn McCoy against Miami. These are all good plays. There's a lot of
no. I tried to make McCoy happen last week. That's it. I'm out. No,
just because it didn't work one time, you're out. Real good overall strategy, Dean. It works well.
I'm still motion.
How often does LaShawn McCoy work this week or this year?
It worked for it. Worked the week before against the Jets.
I didn't play that week, so that didn't count.
Oh, okay. So since Dean was out of town, LaShawn McCoy actually didn't put points up.
Guys,
it didn't happen.
Guys, I really like Jacksonville's running backs. If you didn't know. Did you know that?
Yeah, so Yeldon versus Hyde. Go.
I like Hyde better, although it should be noted that Indy allows a ridiculous amount of receiving work to opposing running backs. But Hyde, Dean mentioned before the show, Hyde's snap count compared to Yeldon's snap count when Fournette went out, or I think for the entire game. But this offense is predicated on a run-first attitude, and it's probably going to continue to be that way with Kessler now in it. Hyde is the guy that can go in there. And
condolences, Grant, by the way. Solitary tear for your boy Blake Bortles. It's been a rough week for UCF quarterbacks all around, but are you sad that Bortles?
This is just proof that the NFL is stupid. Bortles and Fitzpatrick are on the bench right now. It's ridiculous. Two greatest QBs in the league, and they're both on the bench. But in any case, Carlos Hyde, 3,300 for a guy that could potentially just step in and, for the most part, take the Leonard Fournette role. He could end up with 25 carries in this game. I would not be surprised. He's a very good running back that's very underrated. He will get a little bit heavier involved in the receiving game, I think. He should have the playbook mostly or decently known right now. This is strictly a GPP play. I don't know if
he looked pretty good, by the way, the other day. After what's his name was out, he did look pretty good.
This is a guy that was starting over Chubb in Cleveland.
Yeah, but that was ridiculous. There was a lot of ridiculous.
Well, that's Cleveland. They make terrible decisions.
And they've been winning every game since. So maybe that's not the best example, but I do agree overall with Hyde about him being talented.
This is a guy that was starting over Breida over in San Fran.
No, I know. Yeah, and then they traded him because they like Breida so much. So like these are not the best examples, but I get your point. Like he is too talented to be this price. I'm just worried it's going to be a shared workload, and there's plenty of running backs 1,000 higher that people are going to overlook, where they'll overreact to Hyde, and have 20% of him, where they're going to miss the guys at 46 to 6,000 to 58 that are going to be much lower on. That's my thinking. I agree with you.
Hyde is 3.3, by the way. He's 3.3K. Yeldon's 4.4K. And as far as a snap count last week, Yeldon had 27 snaps and Hyde had 9. But, like, you know, if you're going to throw a dart at Hyde, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong at 3.3K. And I agree, they're going to want to run the ball as much as possible with Bortles and Kessler, whoever. It's a disaster at quarterback there for Jacksonville. They're just playing up the string. You guys mentioned as far as Atlanta, Edwards. Are we at all concerned if Collins comes back? I don't know if he was a healthy scratch, but he didn't play, but he did practice on Friday.
It was an injury, and they were they were going more with Gus the week before. Like Gus is the guy in that offense.
Okay, but he's facing Atlanta, Grant. Atlanta, running backs that catch the ball. Gus has one catch on the entire season. One.
Entirely game flow dependent. Entirely game flow. They were running the ball from way ahead the whole time.
Yeah. Who's the quarterback the last 2 weeks, Dan?
Yeah. Well, is it not going to be Lamar again?
It could be, but
it will be. It's going to be. But it's still going to be a read option, which is going to be sometimes going to be like they're going to play wild. They're going to run wild. They're going to run the same stuff they've been running, and he's going to end up with some chances to catch the ball. I'm not saying he will, or they just didn't utilize him because they didn't need to that way.
Guys, we've been talking about
running backs, by the way. I don't think you guys know this. We're almost done. We talked running backs the entire time.
It's where you make your money at these days.
All right, well, let's go to the quarterback real quick.
Well, not the entire. We got to save some. You know, we like to keep about an hour or so, and we got about 22 minutes and change, 23 minutes and change or so to bed. It's plenty of time. Grant, you wanted to talk about. I believe Cam Newton was the guy you're on as far as quarterbacks.
He's going against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is not very good. The spread is set at 3.5 points here.
Sure.
Like I haven't looked into Tampa Bay versus running quarterbacks too much because there's never a big enough sample size. But I assume with how bad they are everywhere else, it'll play perfectly at Cam Newton. He's 6,600, which is 1,000 cheaper than Mahomes, which is silly to me. There isn't that much value at quarterback. Cam's got to be the number one guy, right?
I mean, you can make the argument for Winston the other side. Just like a quarterback.
You can absolutely make the argument for Winston on the other side. Carolina has one that, like,
I'll tell you why you can't. Because if he throws 3 interceptions, he's out of the
game. They're done with the hokey pokey. That's done.
It just happened a week ago. What the hell's the matter with you?
They QB change every 3 weeks.
They QB change every time somebody throws 3 interceptions in the first half. With Jameis Winston, I'm certainly not ruling that out. Anyway, if you want to compare Jameis Winston as a play with Cam Newton.
No, I didn't compare it. I was just saying this is another option. It's a podcast. We talk one player.
Yeah, okay. Well, to me, I agreed with Grant's initial statement that Cam Newton was the obvious play.
We haven't seen this where Mahomes is the number one quarterback is $1,000 more than the number 2 quarterback. We haven't seen that all year. It's like these prices have been condensed. You know, Mahomes and Kansas City should absolutely shellac Oakland and do whatever they want. I feel like, Bobby, that people are probably going to shy away from Mahomes because they'll say the same exact thing that Grant said, which may be true. Like, we can get the same production from Cam for $1,000 cheaper. We can work down to a guy like Winston. There's obviously already like Kirk Cousins for 5.5K if you want to like punt or something like that against New England. I don't know if anybody's playing the likes of like Jeff Driscoll. He's like 4.4 or 4.5. Well, what's your take here, Bobby, as far as quarterbacks?
Yeah, I love Kirk Cousins and I love Tom Brady. I like that game a lot. I think that just these prices are a joke and these defenses have been a joke, especially New England. They're really slow on defense, really are. And Minnesota is going to eat them alive, which is going to force them to go crazy. This game is going to be a blowout. Bet the over, whatever it ends up being. Still Monday night. We don't know yet. I don't have it in front of me anyway.
I'm seeing it at 48.5 for what it's worth.
Yeah, over
which
for
is
sure.
Silly.
Over. It's a great potential like game script for both receivers in Minnesota, and even the tight end in Rudolph. Like, I feel like they could go nuts here. So I'm gonna take both the quarterbacks in this game. Like, if they're gonna be putting pressure on New England, like, New England's gonna come right back at them. Like, I like both those quarterbacks, but Cam is my favorite, like, at first glance. But these are the next two that I'm like locked into, along with, like, I don't care who he's playing against. I think they've also quit on the season. I just think that at some point you just go like, okay, this guy's doing it every week. We just play him, and that's Andrew Luck. Like, yeah,
we're good. Defenses don't matter.
But their defense really doesn't matter. I mean, what the defense they play right now, like, there genuinely doesn't matter. They're bad.
Being a parent can be really challenging. It's normal to feel uncertain about whether you're doing the right things to raise healthy and happy children. That's why Child and Family Resource Network focuses on connecting pregnant parents and those with kids under the age of 5 with free support services to help them build confidence in their parenting journey. Everyone deserves to have someone they can turn to for support with parenting. Visit childandfamilyresourcenetwork.org today.
And also, like, Jared Goff in a dome. It's not. I mean, I love the plays in the dome this time of year, and they're playing the Lions, who are pretty dreadful too. And I know you talked about the Lions being slow, and it's hard to predict who's going to get the touchdowns for the Rams. There's so many options, but if you just get the quarterback, I think he's a pretty safe play as well. Is there anybody we missed? Anybody that's worth talking about?
I mean, are we using Driscoll, or are we using who else?
No, like, we don't need to play these, like, nonsense people.
What's Driscoll priced at?
It doesn't matter. He could be free. He could be free. These guys are.
If he was free, you'd play him. Of course, you play him. He's free.
Yeah, you have both of them at 4,500. I'll take a shot on both of them, and then I'll regret it immediately after lock.
I don't know.
Well, maybe AJ Green's playing. Maybe, I don't know. Is Green potentially coming back this week?
Yeah, he almost came back last week, so it's definitely in the cards there. And I mean, looking at Driscoll's numbers while he was in the game, he put up 17 points.
He can run a little bit, I believe.
Yeah, he put up 17 points in, I think, less than a half. So against the Browns, the number 1 DVOA pass defense.
Yeah, what was the score of the game?
35-20.
35-7.
No, at the end of the game it was 35-20 because Driscoll's the better quarterback.
Okay, great, man. You go play all the Driscoll you want and tell me that's a positive EV investment. I haven't seen one. Not
We're talking about how much we want to pay up for running back. I think it's viable to play Driscoll.
Okay, well, not one of these little nonsensical quarterbacks is winning anybody anything. Like, we just come on.
Oh,
I'll take Driscoll over Kessler if anybody wants to make that wager.
Why are we talking about
Kessler? Because they're 4,500. We have to talk about things, Bobby. All right, let's move on to wide receiver.
I mean, Tom Brady's 5,800.
Tom Brady isn't going to come close to having in that range.
He's not 28%. Watch Tom Brady is still better than 28%.
I will take Andrew Luck, Mitchell Trubisky, Matt Ryan, Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, all lower priced than him. All of them are going to outscore Tom Brady.
Yeah, I like Cousins. That's my main one.
Yeah, I like all 4 of them better than I like. Don't play Brady. They're going to be a run first team with Burkhead back.
Yeah, Burkhead.
I don't know how much Burkhead's going to be playing.
Burkhead's a pass catching back.
I know he's a pass catching back, but now they can rotate the running backs. They run with Sony Michel when he's healthy. I
just had to say the idiot thing for what the guy said about us on the thing. Sorry, I didn't really want to call you an idiot. You're my friend.
You can call me an idiot. Sometimes I'm an idiot.
Somebody wrote
stand by your insults. When I call Demon a dummy, I stand by it.
All right.
I'm not arguing. So receivers, guys. Let's get some quick hits as far as receivers. I think that you want to spend up on running. First look, I want to spend up on a couple of running backs. If I can get 3, that'd be amazing. But for sure, I want 2. At least that's my first look, and that means I'm going to have to get some cheapies as far as receivers. But Bobby, hypothetically, if you have all the money in the world, who's your favorite expensive receiver?
My favorite expensive receiver is like a little bit tougher because I was looking more mid-rangey for the most part. But
Great. You have one?
Well, I don't like who I'm going to say because it always burns me, but I'm going to go right back to it. I like Josh Gordon. I like Gordon, Thielen, and Diggs. I like that combination of those 3. I'm going to put a group open on my script and have those three grouped together all over the place.
But then you can't pay up for running backs like you want to.
I don't need to though, because I just named about 15.
Carlos Hyde, welcome to the squad.
I didn't name him. I named Philip Lindsay. I named Lamar Miller. I
know you don't have to rename it. Keep going.
Okay,
I'm told Lamar Miller ran for a 97-yard touchdown. I actually saw the video. I think it was doctored. That didn't really happen, did it? 97-yard touchdown for Lamar Miller.
Dude, he's got 3 25-point games in the last.
He's on fire. Weeks. I just was a couple weeks off with him. Like I literally had this whole thing nailed this season on Lamar Miller, and I just was a few weeks off. But anyway, forget that. Let's move past that. Julio Jones is way too cheap.
Oh, classic Bobby.
No, I mean he puts up 20+ points in every matchup, and then there's always upside, of course. So you play him. Like
he's got the Saquon Barkley discount, a tough matchup. So he gets like a slight discount.
It's nonsense when it comes to the guys this good. So that's where I'm looking. Other than the Minnesota-New England situation, again, I sort of like Josh Reynolds as the third receiver. I like Emmanuel Sanders and Cortland Sutton. I like every single offensive player. Lindsey, I said in that game already against Cincinnati. And then I like the Carolina receivers. I like Moore and I like Samuel. And
has Cortland Sutton ever once paid off his asking for? I'm talking about college. I'm talking about high school. Is he ever
I haven't played Cortland Sutton. This is
this is not me. I'm just as an aside.
No, but I played him once before. But like people play him. But like this is not. I haven't understood why they've been doing it so much. But like this is a good time to do it. If there was a time to play him, it's Denver receivers. Anyway, against the Cincinnati defense, everybody against the Cincinnati defense is the answer. And then there's a load of like I just don't think you need to pay. I'm not incredibly in love with the high end. I think I'm going to end up with a more middling-ish lineup this week, actually, because I like the mid-tier better than I like the high end. And I'm not nearly as in love with wide receiver as I am with running back.
What's your overall assessment there, Grant?
I love Thielen's my favorite at the top. Like, I really like Mike Evans too, just because of the upside that he has with Winston in that offense and just Tampa Bay offense at any given time. He could put up 30, he could put up 15. Like people are saying, they had a few down games. One of those games he had 10 targets. So I'm not really expecting him to ever have a low floor for the rest of the season here. I mean, I'm fine with a lot of these guys. OBJ, I'm not going to argue with that. Devontae Adams, I'm not going to argue with that, although he's getting Peters in defense, and I'm fairly high on the Arizona defense, but Rodgers is going to force you. I don't know if I can go with 9,100 for Tyreek Hill, but I will have at least one Tyreek Mahomes stack. Julio Jones, I mean, I hate playing him, but that price is too cheap for him. I will have a bit of him. Galladay is one of the guys that stands out the most if Talib's not back in the offense. I mean, these Rams cornerbacks aren't fantastic by any means. Galladay he had a terrible game versus Chicago, but Chicago's a very good defense. Going up against the Rams, Galladay should be back to the 14, 15 targets he was getting before or the rest of the games without Marvin Jones and Golden Tate there. Hilton's price tag at $6K is too cheap. Right there with Bobby. Love Josh Gordon. Both Samuel and DJ Moore, if Funchess is out again, are fantastic plays against Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay, if I haven't already mentioned before.
DJ Moore's the number one regardless, by the way, I'm telling you. I've been watching that team. He's the number one receiver.
Yeah, and I'll definitely use him. But if Funchess is out again, then both Samuel and DJ Moore will be even heavier.
Torrey Smith came back last week, and he only barely played any snaps. Samuel was the clear number 2 receiver. I think he played at least 80% of the snaps. And Funchess might come back to muck it up a little bit, but assuming Funchess is out once again, Samuel's price at 3.9 versus Tampa is one of my favorite cheapies. It sounds like you guys agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, off the board one that I've said so many times this season that I hate myself for that this last week.
I know you're going to say.
I know.
Who are you going to say?
Who am I going to say, Bobby?
Adam Humphries.
Huh?
Is it a Jets receiver?
Yep.
Robbie Anderson.
No, Jermaine Kearse.
Oh, no, you got the wrong one. It's Robbie Anderson, not Jermaine Kearse.
If McCown's starting, it's Jermaine Kearse. If Darnold is starting, then it's Robbie Anderson. McCown loves Jermaine Kearse. Like, all the things that happened with Robbie Anderson last year were largely with the other quarterback. I still don't mind Robbie Anderson at all. He's still too cheap here, and I still really like him. But Jermaine Kearse is a guy that's targeted heavily by McCown. And this is I actually had a McCown double wide receiver stack in one of my lineups and paid up for running back, and I left out Curse like a dummy for the first time this entire season. But he's a guy that could – and then obviously we already talked about Ellington, and it looks like Marcel Aitman could be heavily involved in the Oakland offense. It's going to be throwing a lot later on in the game because they will be down huge. Like that's just – we all know that's going to happen, but they still have a 20 implied total here. So Aitman's only 600.
I know we don't talk defenses in the pod, like maybe about a second or so is the quota for each week, but you guys mentioned Tyreek Hill. I like the old double dip. Tyreek Hill with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are really cheap at 2.5K. That seems like a fun, have we had a Tyreek touchdown as far as like a punt or kickoff this year?
No, those are always overhyped. They rarely ever pay off.
Yeah, but it's fun to say double dip. It's got a good marketing strategy.
I mean, yeah, but realistically, it's just it correlates, but the correlation isn't that big.
Yeah, but again, you have to factor in. There's some value to saying double dip.
It's like playing
like the second week she played DFS, she had a real sweat for the millionaire. She played like 2 lineups, and I was like helping her with her lineups, and she had a Darren Sproles and Eagles defense combo. And Darren Sproles like catches like a 40-yard pass for a touchdown, like this little screen pass. The next play, they kick off. Darren Sproles runs it back, and he ran back a punt in the same game. I think he ran back a punt. The defense scored separately or something like that. It was a huge thing against Carolina. Anyway, so she didn't quite win it, but she came close, and that was about the most fun I remember one of those kind of sweats being. I don't think they're fun anymore.
By the way, Dean, we did talk about defenses for a good 10 minutes last week.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I should have listened in. I would have been so excited. No, that's unfortunate. Okay, so tight ends, like, tell me how we don't play Eric Ebron this week.
George Kittle's still a thing.
I don't know why you would play Eric Ebron. I'm not trying to understand why that's
Doyle's out.
Doyle's out. He's got a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's play Mo Alley. Let's play Mo Alley, baby.
No. You always want to play the next guy. Why not the guy in front of the guy?
Because Andrew Luck doesn't care. He's going to throw it to 4 different tight ends that we haven't heard of before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Andrew Luck, here's the line. Andrew Luck, 350 yards passing, 4 touchdown passes to 4 tight ends we haven't heard of before. Eric Ebron, 0 catches, 5 targets. Mo Alley Cox, 0 catches, 2 targets. That's it. And then it's going to be 4 other tight ends.
Eric Ebron has 11 touchdowns on the season, most of which, other than that 3 touchdown game, are.
No, he makes a lot of sense without Doyle. I completely get it. I was just sort of messing around.
Yeah, although
you know that 3 touchdown game was against Grant?
Jacksonville.
Yeah, he actually ran one in too. I
remember. I played all the Doyle.
Well, but you just play Greg Olsen.
This is sort of cash game brain. Of course, you don't play Ebron in tournaments because like Bobby was.
Hey, Bobby, why do we play Greg Olsen?
Because he's playing Tampa Bay.
Yeah, how did Kittle do last week?
He had how many targets did he have? He had like 11 targets.
He had 12 to 14 targets.
Was that a rhetorical question? Because that's not a scoreboard point. He
sailed like 4 passes on him, threw a pick on 1 that he would have had a touchdown on. Like there was a lot of opportunity for Kittle. It just was terrible quarterbacking. This is a better quarterback.
What's happening? Chris Mullen had a rough day. Any other tight ends, you guys? I mean, Gronk is still super cheap, and
Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen versus Tampa Bay. Ebron.
I'm gonna keep saying Greg Olsen.
So many people got let down by Kittle last week. I will absolutely play him this week, even though Seattle's been good against the Titans.
Cook is going to go off too. Olsen and Cook.
I mean, we could also go Kelsey at 7K. But a little bit tough to do. We mentioned
you don't need to do it. Like I'm not going to go crazy on that. Offense is going to win this game just like in the first. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to do it.
Cameron
Gronk was on the field a ton last week. By the way, it wasn't. If he was injured, they didn't show it in the snap count. He was on there for a nice 69 snaps. So.
He's a great offensive lineman, and then when they decide to throw it, which is crazy because like when they dial into him, they're just like locked in. Like he gets 4 of those targets were like in a row.
I need to go.
I think he pass blocked 4 times. I was looking at the numbers, and he ran like 20 to 25 routes or something.
No. I'm just kidding because I'm just saying like when he was in there, like every time they threw it to him, it was like in a row. Like he had 7 targets. I would have thought he had 30 if I watched the game. Like it felt like they threw it to him every time, but it was just because they were consecutive.
So. What do you guys think about – I need to go back and look at the tape and see what Driscoll did, but CJ Uzoma had targets.
Yeah.
Not going there.
He's 3,400 going up against Denver, who's tough on the outside. Uzoma could do something at 3,400. I'm just throwing it out there. Also, great. Everyone that got
great for sure. For sure, great.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know Hewerman's knocked out too. He's 86th as well. He's done for the season for Denver.
I think Carolina has given up more touchdowns this year, I think, to tight ends than any other team in the league, and Brate is better.
How about Kyle Rudolph, like at a ridiculous 3,600 against the New England team that's been awful over the middle? Like,
yeah.
He hasn't had a big game. Like, this is what you bet on, though. People say, oh, he hasn't shown it yet. Neither did Ryan DRJ. I can never pronounce it right.
You do Ryan? Are you doing Diacono for the Bulls? What is this?
Archie Diacono.
Stroke? Do you smell burnt toast, Bobby?
Archie Diacono. Ryan Archie Diacono. I'm just saying, ceiling games come when they come.
Wait, did you just stop mentioning basketball? Oh, gosh.
People, hey, Grant, newsflash for you and Dean. People who listen to this podcast also pay attention to basketball.
Yeah, the newsflash to you, Bobby. People have basketball podcasts to pay attention to when they want to hear about basketball.
I kept playing Al Bundy until finally he scored 4 touchdowns in that one game for Polk High, and it was amazing. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah. What is that, Married with Children?
He was clutch in that game. He was big.
Well, it was a good matchup. He was playing – I don't know who they played against. But, all right, that's tight ends. Unless there's anything else, I think that's kind of our overall assessment. Bobby, first look, what do you have as far as a team stack you might be honing in on, maybe a correlation play, game stack? What do you have?
So I just want to talk about Dwight Howard for a little bit. No,
I'm
just kidding.
That was a good razz.
there. Sorry. I actually got myself a little bit with that one. I like Carolina and Tampa Bay a lot, obviously. But there's a lot of ways you can get off the chalk in this. Like, even if Funchess is back, if DJ Moore goes under-owned, I'm going to keep going back to the well, not just because he made me a ton of money the week Dean was off, by the way. But he's been.
Well, there you go.
I think that the New England Minnesota game is also like you just play those passing games and hope, and I think that that's a reasonable hope, and you'll know pretty quickly. And even if you don't know, like I just feel like there's so many outs in that game. Like you just play all of that passing game, and you're gonna have good results like 1 out of 3 times, and when it hits. Like, you're going to get these guys so far under-owned. Like Gordon, I don't think he'll be owned. He was like 3%, 4% owned this last week. Maybe a little bit higher, 5,900 against Minnesota, who's been skeptical. But, like, I don't know, man. I just think that's a really good spot for teams that can be pass-happy and be really, really good controlling the game through the air on a PPR side. So, I love that game.
Seattle played Carolina last week, and I wanted to play DJ Moore. And I clicked on that game, and I clicked on Moore, and I ended up playing David Moore by accident. And it worked out.
Yeah, you got a touchdown.
They were the same exact price in FanDuel.
You missed that part on the last show. Is that I built that lineup, and I said you play the Moores. And I said it on every show I was on this week. Play both Moores together in the same game.
Grant, what's your correlation play?
I mean, it's probably going to be Cousins and his wide receivers. Either that or Cam. You can go with him and any of his cheap wide receivers, or both. It Funches out both him and Daniel or Samuels. But the obvious one that we all completely agree on is Driscoll with Uzoma. Yeah, that's what I've got. Podcast. Stack all the Driscoll and Uzoma, pay up at running back, and you win all the money.
It costs like $3,500 to get both of them in your lineup, something like that.
I think they pay you $3,500 to get both of them in your lineup.
Tweets or consequences. The week I left, I think we all smashed, right? I think I had Hilton, Bobby. I don't remember. I think all 3 of us did really well. So
I had Galladay.
Yeah, and I had
Galladay. I believe he crushed. So there you go, victory lap for us. I wasn't here last week. What went down?
I lost. I was on Carson, and then I went down to Penny to be more bold because I had to tweet out next week anyways. But yeah, I lost. So. Dean didn't figure out a tweet in time because I didn't tell him.
I was just told this
until the start of the show. My bad. My B.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's going to figure one out that we don't even announce on air, so I'm going to seem even more ridiculous when I tweet it out. But, yeah. We got to have a bold call
this week.
Bobby, who do you have? What
Bobby, you want Driscoll?
Point per dollar running backs?
Yep, Carlos Hyde. I'm taking Carlos Hyde.
It's kind of a team.
What are you crumpling up there, Bobby?
Fair enough.
Yeah, his notes.
My notes from the show that Grant's an idiot apparently.
You just wrote in big letters and circled 4 times. Grant's an idiot.
I'm just kidding. I'll take the cash game play of this situation, which is really weird to say this. Lamar Miller.
Oh, wait, no. Lamar Miller's not a cash game play, is he?
I mean, at 4,600, he may be.
How much is it?
4,600 versus.
He's the safest. I mean, if we're going point per dollar in a 3-man thing, he's probably the safest at a really low price I can go for with upside.
Yeah.
And if we're going to do dollar for dollar, it's a little tricky when you have to pick the guys up top because.
Yeah, go ahead, pick Gurley. Then when Hyde gets 14 points, Gurley has to go for 50.
There's more There's a lot of strategy in this game.
That's why I stuck with Lamar Miller.
This is next level.
I mean, you can go with Doug Martin in the highest total game.
Doug Martin.
Take Philip Lindsay. You're definitely gonna have a chance. With Lindsay or Edwards or Breida.
I don't. The whole Edwards thing's kind of. How does Edwards not catch the ball? Like not one ball thrown at him.
You can take the top guy in the Thanksgiving slate and look.
How about Breida?
Yeah, I might take Aaron Jones $1 for dollar.
You're getting credit.
I think that feels pretty safe. I'm trying to play the game here. I love McCaffrey. It's not that much more like Hunt as well, but I very well could see a situation.
Yeah, please take McCaffrey, please. We'll see how it goes, point per dollar.
You know what? Okay, since you asked for it, I'll take McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's bold. That's so bold, Dean.
What do we do for?
That's point per dollar, man.
I know. I'm kidding.
So
I should take Yeldon, but I'll take McCaffrey. Sure.
So basically, if Hyde scores a touchdown, Dean, we have to just come up with a tweeter consequence for Dean.
Well, not necessarily. No, it depends, but I could be in trouble for sure.
You're right. He's got to get 45 for you. 40.
Okay.
I mean, we've seen that time in the last 7 days, last 2 days.
For the first time of the year.
So that's we got our wager set up for next week as far as consequences. Grant, I'll feed you a tweet that you'll knock out tomorrow at some point Tuesday afternoon. What was the question of the week last week? I wasn't here. Tell me what it was, Grant.
It was best Thanksgiving food, and the we can vote on this, but I had my vote obviously. Pumpkin pie and Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Mashed potatoes and gravy, pecan pie. And alcohol. I'm going alcohol. It makes the holidays tolerable. And I know that this guy is playing right to me, but.
Well, the answer is just alcohol? Oh, I see.
The answer is actually just straight up gravy. That no Thanksgiving dinner is good without gravy.
It's a trick question because like there's really no great Thanksgiving food, but
that's so wrong. There's too many great ones. I literally can't stop eating stuffing.
No, stop it.
See, you don't like yellow cheese. Your opinion on food is invalid. You don't use sauce. You don't like yellow cheese. Your opinion's invalid.
By the way, just get yourself a honey baked ham. You'll be much happier than a turkey.
Ham is good. You can go with. What about a turducken?
That's fun to say, but is it fun to eat? I don't know.
Yes, it is.
I've never had a turducken or a part.
I have my lineup saved from our show today, which is pretty crazy because I'm going to start doing this because it's been pretty good to me.
You made a lineup? Give us like 3 players, not lineup.
Is one Carlos Hyde?
Curtis Samuel, but that's dependent on Funchess' health.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Then Driscoll and Uzoma. Got it.
Josh Gordon. I'm going to give you 4. Saquon Barkley and Cam Newton.
All right. And you got the Cam with the Samuel stack. Understandable. All right. Oh, and the question this week coming up. The question again.
Oh yeah, A-Bright8. I'm giving you the win on alcohol. A-Bright8. Go ahead and send Dean a DM, and he will get you a nice T-shirt. What's the question this week, Dean?
He's a Baltimore fan, according to his avatar. He's representing all the Baltimore. I'm just staring at it right now, but that doesn't matter. If you guys listen to a podcast, you don't really care about such things. The question of the week, Bobby, it's Cyber Monday. Get excited. So me and Grant were talking about, like, tell us in the chat the most regrettable, most ridiculous purchase you ever made online.
If it's Amazon, put a link in there.
If you have, who has a link to like the Floby they bought like 8 years ago? Nobody has the link to that.
You do realize you can check every single order you've ever made on Amazon.
That's a lot of work, man. That's a lot. I mean, the T-shirts are really comfortable, but I don't want to put.
I mean, if you ordered a life-size Val Kilmer or Danny DeVito cutout, all you have to do is go to your order history and put in the name Danny DeVito, and it'll show all your Danny DeVito related orders, which I have 3 or 4 of.
I hope so. I really hope that's true. Please tell me.
Oh, it is. I actually have a Danny DeVito cutout. It's fantastic. I've thrown in
my.
Is
it like it's like 5'3" or 5'4", whatever it is?
It's life size, so I think it's 4'10".
That's amazing. I wasn't aware that existed, but now I didn't know that's something I needed in my life. But drunk or sober, however, describe the scenario. Tell us, maybe how cheap it was or whatever. Bobby, is there something that comes to mind for you as far as your most regrettable purchase, or you can give the answer next week?
I guess I'm gonna have to think about that one. I don't really know my most regrettable.
Have you guys ever gotten, like, at one point I was ordering 10 Amazon packages a week, and there's been multiple times where they've sent me stuff I never ordered.
Oh.
Yeah, and I checked my orders. I got a panda necklace. Did not order it. I checked. They just started sending me things like, I think Grant will like this.
What did you do with the panda? Like, now that you open it up, what did you do with it?
I mean, it had a nice box. I put it up on top of, like, it looked nice up on top of my TV. I don't know why I did that.
Was it a lady friend or something, or?
No, I don't know any ladies that like pandas.
Okay. Well, somebody ordered it. I don't know.
No, I have to go find her. If you ordered a panda necklace you didn't get, then give me a call.
Slide into Grant's DMs. That might be part of your tweet. Who knows tomorrow? We'll work pandas in somehow.
Oh, gosh.
Greg, can you think of any sort of purchase? Not the DeVito one, of course. That's like your best purchase of all time, I imagine. But
oh, gosh.
Got nothing for us now? Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot. We weren't ready for this.
I don't know if there's a terrible purchase, but there was one point where, like, again, I was ordering 10 packages a week, and I wouldn't know what I ordered, and I'd go out drinking and occasionally just wake up, and 2 days later there's a box. I'm like, I haven't ordered anything for 2 days. And then go back and see, I bought an Amazon show that I bought 5 months ago. I still haven't opened it yet. I just brought it up to my buddies. I'm like, here, you guys can have this.
Wait, what did you buy?
An Amazon show. It's an Echo show, I guess, actually. It's an Amazon Echo with an Alexa with a screen. It's
okay. Yeah, that's a valuable. I have an Alexa, but I don't know if you need anything else besides.
I mean, the greatest thing is now when I ever go to the house, I just walk in there and I say, Alexa, play Pornhub.com, and the company does not like me anymore.
Well, there you go. They say to end the podcast on a high note, and that's it. We can't top that, I suppose. That's week 13, boys. Hope you all enjoyed it. Again, jump in the comment section, answer us the question of the week. Tell us your most regrettable, most absurd, most ridiculous purchase you ever made online in homage to Cyber Monday, and our favorite answer. We'll decide next week.
Homage.
Oh, okay. Cool whip. With that, we're going to step aside. That's week 13. That's your first look. He's Bobby. I'm Grant. Wait, no. He's Grant.
We're out of here, guys. Holler.
Holler? I'm Ron Burgundy.